we're going to talk a lot today about business. We're going to talk a lot today about how the specific businesses that we're in affect their growth and our positions in it. So one thing that's cool is that Sean was actually in his early 20s one of the people that got into the helping develop DC when it was kind of shit at some point. He actually got in early in his early 20s, which is amazing. That's when I met
First
this guy.
property at 20.
First property at 20. Yes, he's done all that type of stuff. So I think there'll be a great conversation since now like Dayton's on that upswing and trying to get this development stuff going. You guys need want to talk about that. I think it's going to be great. So let's start there. Let's talk about Amy, since I can't see Terry right now. But how did you two meet specifically? Because did you get arrested or something at a club and you guys just started talking? I don't understand.
I wish it were that interesting, but no, it's not. No. So Terry leads a boot camp down at Riverscape, which is a place in Dayton that's down by the river that they're trying to build up. So he has led a boot camp there since 2009.
Oh, wow.
So we're old. We're kind of old. But anyways, I met him down there 3 years ago. He was leading that, and I decided to show up one day. And that's how we met.
Okay. Well, there he is.
And
he just phased right in.
So you'll learn very quickly. Terry and I connected over food. Like, we're both foodies.
Oh.
And
so did
tell by
Terry
his
and
physique,
I, too. Yeah.
His physique, he's a fat boy at heart.
That is true.
Does Amy's thing seem blurry to you guys?
Am I blurry?
No, it looks good on my end.
No.
You guys are good.
Everybody else
some
is
LASIK,
good.
brother.
No.
No, I'm seeing everybody's okay for the moment. I know something's wrong. Somebody's gonna drop in and out, but it's fine. We'll figure it out. We'll edit later. But that's cool. So you guys met. So Ray, you just showed up at his boot camp. That was it. It was like Facebook.
A friend told me about it and was like, "Hey, you should go check out this boot camp." So
yeah, because I was gonna ask, in 2009, social media was way different. So like, was it word of mouth or was it like Facebook?
That's on Terry.
You say 2009 when we
Isn't that when you started boot camp?
Yeah, we named the group in 2009, but yeah, we used to just do free health and fitness classes down at the river. It grew over time. We started doing community service once or twice a month. And, it's a nonprofit now. It's officially a 501c3. And I met Amy. She came down and from there started working out. And she actually opened a restaurant. They own a restaurant. And we used to hang out at her restaurant. And our food relationship grew from there. So,
how many members are in your group now? Do you know?
It's really hard to say. I mean, we've had over 10,000 people attend over the years, but right now we're running anywhere from 20 to 40 people twice a week. Around 2016, we probably averaged about 95 people a session 2 times a week. So, yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, I might check it out. Yeah, we had dinner down there the other day, and he showed me also where we run the stairs. It's like when people run around the Capitol by the monuments and stuff. The
city run clubs.
Used to do that. Yeah, like that type of shit. It's actually, I thought it would be a little more. It looked like what he was showing me. I've been doing this for a minute, so I could do that.
That's trending now. People in our age group, a little younger, like that's the social event of the moment right now, like run clubs and stuff. So it's nice to see it.
A run club.
Yeah.
It's like the new Tinder. Like you meet your soulmate at a run club. Most people don't even run. They just pop up, wear some trendy running clothes, expensive sneakers. They might jog a little bit, and then they hit the bar afterwards.
All right. So y'all met there, and then how did y'all get into business together? Like, how does that work? So 2009. That's a long time ago.
No,
well,
we didn't.
I've only known him for 3 years, so that was.
Oh, you were just in the same. You were just in the same thing.
He established this thing in 2009.
So you really didn't meet him. You just kind of
I met him 3 years ago, and then I own a restaurant, and he used to come to the restaurant, but I didn't really know him until I went to boot camp, and so then we started doing like social things together around food.
Taco Tuesdays.
Yeah, we used to have a Taco Tuesday at our restaurant, and so we would get like a big group to come in and do that. And then Terry is always buying shit, like real estate, cars. He's just always buying stuff. And so he asked for my help because my passion is like design. So he asked for my help in a couple projects, and it just kind of blossomed
Oh,
from
into
there.
this, yeah, and you got.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, like, what was the first thing you guys broke bread on then when it came to real estate?
She was picking the colors and decor in one of the rental properties. Maybe not a rental property, but a couple flips. She helped out with paint, color, and design. So it was probably a small single family house around it. Yep.
Okay. And then from there, so that started, and then we did a flip together, right? Is that what you're saying? You
Yeah.
flipped the
And
property.
then he made the mistake of calling me one day and saying, "Hey, I have a house I want you to look at."
The Huffington Black place.
That's the Huffman Black. And so I met him.
Huffman
It's
Black,
a
yeah.
house that was built in 1898. I met him over there. Listen, I'm one of those artsy people. Like, I love old things. So he took me through this house, and I was basically like, if you don't buy this house, like, I'm not talking to you anymore. Anyways, he bought the house and he gave me full reign to redesign the whole space.
Nice.
And
Lord,
now we do run events out of it. Fought a lot over it too.
she almost didn't make it. It was definitely a long.
Yeah.
It probably took about 18 months to tear it down to studs and put it back together. I have to tell you about the 80-year-old magazines she destroyed.
Yeah. Oh,
Is
What's
it?
up, Terry?
I have a question. Is it similar? Because I renovated a spot in Capitol Hill, DC. Is it strenuous as far as the Historic Preservation Board, or do they have a big oversight when it comes to
Yes.
windows and the likeness and the
Yes.
edifice of the house? Okay, that's it would just be like forever to get through that process.
It's only on the exterior.
Exterior.
Yeah, exterior. Yeah, exterior. The
And
windows were a big deal for the older houses because there was a lot of 1800, 19th century homes on the hill, and the windows were always, you had to match them to a certain spec, and you had to find them from a certain builder, and
Certain colors.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
every, yeah.
they didn't do that with the windows because it was 52 windows, and
Oh, okay.
I started fixing it in the middle of winter, so they were
Got you.
I just ripped them all out and put them in order to work. So
Got you.
that's crazy. So
Makes sense.
so that property, and now you guys are talking. I know, Terry, you've been talking about opening up a burger spot and everything, and kind of understanding all this. Like real estate is the thing that everybody says you could get into, and I always like to quote the people I see on social media. They make it look easy. Because they're just like, hey, they never tell you where you're getting this money from. They just say, hey, take $100,000, put it into a property, rent it out, flip it, then take that money, reinvest it. But they never tell you where to get the $100,000, right? They're always saying, let's say a poor person like myself, how do I get into real estate without having a lot of capital? Because I guess, both of you are kind of like, I got Terry, you're a cop. I don't know what cops make in Dayton, Ohio, but I seen what you were driving the other day. I saw him pull up. He has a nice pickup truck. And we went out to dinner. He pulls up in this. I'm not gonna say what you're driving. I don't want nobody to like rob you. But I was like, what the hell? And he's like, oh, this is a little thing I got from my mom. My other cars are at her house too. And I'm like, what other car? Like, what?
Did you not hear me say that he's always buying cars and houses?
Oh, he pulled out. I was like, damn. I was like, he didn't even know what it was. It wasn't even a business. Like, real quick, it wasn't even a business purchase because it was a nice sized car, but it was a nice luxury car. I was like, did you buy this as a write off? He's like, what's a write off? I bought it with cash. I found some cash and I just bought it.
Okay.
I know, I'm messing with you.
But
like realistic. So the capital.
I
Let's start
started
there.
with a property that in 2007, the real estate market crashed across the world, but in Dayton it was really fast. So you can pick up single family houses anywhere from 7,000 to 25,000.
7,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
Bro, we were spending that much
Spit
on
his drink
bottles.
out.
Sean was spending that much on bottles back then.
So the houses I was purchasing for 7,000, 25,000. Now those properties are selling for 150, 250, 300. So back then when the market crashed, before it did, you could purchase a house for 7,000 and you could walk in with a county appraisal and they'll give you 80% of the value of that house. I started off with just equity lines of credit initially, but from there I made some mistakes, went down in the gutter, and when I started to come back up, I was flipping properties. I was selling cars. And so for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, I've only done cash deals on real estate. So everything I'm doing now is in cash. And my partner is straight up been cash his whole life, Ethiopian buddy. He owns probably 35 properties free and clear. And he has a dealership. So we have our dealership license. So, you know, I don't know much about getting loans right now because I moved over.
I mean,
have you looked into any private capital, like any hard money financing on your acquisitions?
No, I mean, at this point, I haven't needed to. And when I work with my partner, we definitely don't need to. And his mindset is no interest. I make more money. He don't mess with banks.
Well, no, and that's the thing. The other alternative, because I have a client that does the same. Everything would buy $1 million plus cash every single time in DC. But what he would do was he would lend the money back to himself. So he would set up a deed of trust. His company, he would pay back, but he would actually secure a deed of trust on the property, pay back the loan to himself right off the interest. As a write-off. So your partner may want to look at some vehicle like that because you can secure your own asset with your own debt. Yeah, with your own
Sean
money.
knows
Speaking Terry's love language right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That I've never even thought about that. We've actually loaned other investors money.
Oh, yeah.
And we've done that couple. So, but that's nice.
We'll all connect offline. I think you guys should have a good talk because Sean is, when it comes to real estate investment, you know, he's been flipping properties, building up properties. I think you did you did a couple of renovations, you know. So they've been
ground up stuff.
The Georgetown property, remember that? The Georgetown thing and all that?
Yes.
There's been a lot of and the market like DC being the way it is, it's crazy. And that's why I thought this would be a good conversation because a small market, bigger market, understanding like what can happen. Look at what's happened in Detroit. I remember one of my friends, Amber. Remember Amber? Well, you know, you probably don't remember Amber, but her and her husband, like just like you, Terry, they bought properties in Detroit, sight unseen, $5,000, $4,000 on these different abandoned places after not the pandemic, the real estate crash, and they just held them there. Developers start calling them, whatever. They were flipping properties, 30, 40 grand. They sold, you know, some of them they rehabbed and built them out into rentals. Obviously, the Airbnb era helped out a lot there, you know, 18 to 2020. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. And like, you know, the people listening to this right now, if you're thinking about this stuff, this is like good guidance to understand like how it works because, yes, money has to come from somewhere. You get it from lending. You can I don't know how like I said, cops around Dayton must be millionaires. I don't know how that works, but you know, he did it being a cop and understanding how to leverage his money in the proper ways. Like you know, like $5,000-$6,000. You think about that. In retrospect, yeah, it sounds like a decent chunk of change, but then think about all the stupid shit that you buy. Like me, I buy a ton of sneakers, and I did the math. I got like 200 grand worth of sneakers, and I could buy a couple of houses with that probably. All right, so as I sell those sneakers, Terry, I'm going to come to you and say, hey, what can we put this into? You know,
you also got to stop buying them.
Yeah, I got to stop buying them. Yes.
Hey, brother. Hey, $200,000 worth of sneakers. I would get murdered by my family.
That's over 5 years.
Over 5 years. I used to work with a shoe company for that amount of time times 2, so I got an excuse. Ours was discounted and free.
Either way, look, they're assets. I'm getting rid of a lot of them now, but I'm trying to get back into that and also evolve this thing. So no, that's great. I think like honestly, the real estate game. My parents were in it. Sean got into it young, and Sean, you can tell your story because I think it's a compelling one if you want to share. But it's one of those things you really have to like, you know, me, I don't understand economics. I'm more of a like invest in stocks and different types of assets and things like that. I risky stuff too, Bitcoin, gambling, all that type of stuff.
Stuff that rich people do.
No, it's stuff that stupid people do and rich people do. But sometimes stupid lucks up and it gets to, you know.
They could be synonymous.
Win.
You could be stupid and rich.
It could be, but at the same, you know, you got to do something. And also, I have a very good occupation, business, and all that. So, Sean, let them understand where you're coming from, and then build off of that.
No, so I got started early. There was whoever's familiar with DC. I bought a place in Congress Heights, DC, which was like probably the worst part of DC.
It's getting better.
Right off Alabama Avenue. This is back in 2000. 20-year-old kid had a countrywide loan, 8%, and it was a $32,000 condo for 2-bedroom. My mortgage payment was like $300 something dollars. At the time, I'm thinking to myself, if I rent, I might spend like $500, $600, and at that point, I found another one in the same building for $42,000. Rented that out to Section 8. That was a 3-bedroom, and that paid me $1,500. So essentially paid for both places. Sold both of them for both. One for like 110, other one for like 150. So I was probably 22, 23, sitting on a good chunk of change. Traveled around, got into some fashion stuff, was doing the record heads, was out in Tokyo. Went back to New York, worked doing some day trading stuff, started getting into day trading, then started really, playing with the market. But I was always, just going as far as real estate. And I raised a few $1 million of capital, and we did some fix and flip, condo development, land acquisition in DC. And so at this point, I have a title and escrow firm and a company that really does consulting for big box buyers with big box sellers. So, look to identify big industrial spaces, commercial use land, data center plays. So have a lot of folks who look in nationwide and different prospects there. And I basically just present the opportunity, whether it be from the buyer or seller, and then, negotiate the deal and then take a fee off the top. So that's kind of like what I'm building on the side. But real estate's always been my number one go-to when it comes to like what I've ever wanted to do, everything I've ever been into. It's always had some connection back to real estate. And he'll tell you, I went through times I would never spend any money. I'd be $20.
Way more disciplined.
I'd come out $20 in my pocket for the whole night, and I would say, "We're still gonna have a good time." And we always had a good time. It was always a vibe.
Because I had a tab open. But when his tab,
don't give me so. I've run many a tab.
No. I'm about to say when your tab was open, it was open.
Yeah,
it was open when his tab was open, and those are good times. And now. Pretty much, yeah. Since then, we've been. It's been crazy. So this brother knows how to. He did his thing since he was younger. But see, that's when I look at this and in retrospect, because it's not much different in the smaller markets. There's always places that need to be like built up. And as now we're running out of. It's so weird to say there's a housing crisis, but there's so many empty buildings, right? And those empty buildings because people don't have capital to buy them and renovate them and make them their own, or have the the know-how to flip a property or do whatever. So I think we're on the next phase of this. It's going from this Airbnb era to like
there's
wealthy people
enough housing
renting.
to house all the homeless people that are homeless. I mean,
and for people to get their own house too, right? Like, but at the end of the day, it's all being held by private equity firms, corporate entities that do rentals. Like Invitation Homes. I made a lot of money on that stock because I saw that coming, and I got in early, and the stock's worth a couple. I don't know. I sold it a while ago, but it's that I made some money off of. But they like places like that where they take these flips, they renovate them and turn them into like like I said, rental property, and it's a house, right? They might be renting one of these and charge $3,000 a month for rent. They mow the lawn, they come and fix everything just like they do in a building, but there's less overhead because you're just directly dealing with one thing, and there's less permits that have to be dealt with because you're not building a condo or a skyscraper or whatever to house people. So I think the next phase of the market's going to be exactly what you guys are doing, buying properties, flipping them, maybe selling them to corporate entities, or renting them out yourself or whatever, to get capital coming. People can't afford to live in a single family. Like we have a big house and stuff, but my cost of living, even though DC's expensive, my rent was expensive, has quadrupled almost, right? I live in Dayton, Ohio, people. You hear that, Dayton? I don't live in New York. I don't live in DC anymore. I live in Dayton, Ohio. But it's because of choices that I made. I live in the neighborhood or whatever, and that costs money and all that shit. And my wife likes to leave the lights on. Shit like that costs money. So everything goes in cycles and whatnot. But you have to understand that property is always going up in price because there's always somebody who wants to buy it, right? Or buy into it. So I'll leave it here because we're going to move on to Mitch because I know Mitch, he looks like he's got something to do. Mitch, do you do real estate at all? Do you do any real estate or anything like that?
I'm gearing up to do real estate. I'm gearing up for it. Terry, one of my closest friends, so he pulling me into it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he was talking to me about some stuff too, and the wife and I, we're gonna have a discussion. I talk to Sean about it all the time. We're just gonna make that jump, but we're gonna get into music stuff. But I do want to leave the people with one more thing, and obviously, Amy, Terry, I want you to stay around because we have a lot of talking to do about other shit later on, and plus, maybe you have some input on this music stuff. But what would you leave people with as your best advice to get into this, knowing that hey, I might not have the most amount of money or whatever? Because I think the young brothers here, like. I think Trez and Dakari or Kari, whatever you want to call yourself, are like need to understand these things because I never got this learning from adults or people with the know-how. So even my parents, because they did real estate, didn't teach me shit. They had 4 properties in and around New York. My dad was the landlord fixer. They never taught me anything about real estate. Nothing. I hated it because I used to go with my dad to go fix something in this shack that they own in Queens, right? There was roaches everywhere and shit. I'm like, why do we do this? It's a tax write-off. They're paying rent and blah, 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 blah. We could flip it for money later. But I'm like, there's roaches. What are you talking about? Then they owned a place in Forest Hills that was really nice, like a condo, and then like 2 apartments in some building. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And I was like, oh, this is what makes Christmas happen and the nice Volvo you drive. So I didn't know that at the time because they both had jobs too, right? So Amy, ladies first, what is your best advice to a young person such as myself who wants to get into real estate?
You're asking the wrong person because I don't do real estate. I do design.
I thought you do real estate too. Why does he say you're partners and stuff?
Because I do.
They are partners.
She run
make
this
everything
event center
pretty.
completely.
So you know nothing about, you're like me? You're just a dumbass?
Yes.
That's my real estate. Okay.
Well, don't shortchange the lady like that. She's not like
hey,
you.
can you come make this look
Oh,
as
God.
like
She's not
a
insane.
shirt?
Do not stop. Come on, Car. You know that's I didn't mean it that way.
We gotta check you, brother. We
Oh my God.
we gotta pump check you, man. You say some wild
Always
shit.
Either way.
I gotta bring some comedy to the show, man. Y'all talking about $1 million escrows and properties in Georgetown. I'm broke.
I didn't mean dumbass in an insulting way. I meant it in a.
I'm over here like, so what's the food scene like in Ohio? Y'all talking about property flipping. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm out of my league. You know, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
And look, it's always good to know these things because I was not around people like this when I grew up, so I don't understand. And even in my 30s, well, Sean knows, like we had to learn this shit on our own. He taught himself how to trade stock. I had to teach myself that shit. My parents never took. They had the keys, but they never really cared. They're like, no, get an education, become a lawyer, the doctor, whatever the fuck. And I'm like, okay,
taught
cool.
Himself, he can tell you how to do real estate.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm very appreciative.
Terry,
of this
what's your advice? What's your advice?
Yeah, I'll say this real quick. I was a straight F student. I spent 5 years in high school. I had felony gun charges at 21, and I was seconds away from bankruptcy at 33. And I'm a small investor. I'm not a big time investor, especially like Sean. But I'll tell you this. What I would say is important is, number 1, have a relationship with God, read the Bible. Number 2, outside of reading the Bible was good for me. But the next thing was reading The Richest Man in Babylon. And the third thing I'll say is go out and fail well, because you are going to fail. You are going to make mistakes, and embrace every single moment of the mistakes that you make. But be fearless. You know, you can be broke and poor and worry about, and not take that chance, or you go out and figure out what you want to do and go do it. And when you make a mistake, learn from it and seek wise counsel. That's what I got.
So it's still hope for me.
I'm looking at the people you hang out with. I mean, look at your circle right now.
I'm honestly happy to be around. As much as, like H mentioned, we were struggling to get this off the ground, but like the stuff that Sean has accomplished, you, Amy, H, man, you humble yourself a lot. But like you said, man, I'm living in a big house. My wife don't gotta work. Like those are aspirational goals for people, and I do respect the fact that
it's killing me.
I don't think anybody in here is sub 20. Sub 30, I should say. Yeah. And it's the fact that, like you said,
how old are you, Trez?
Oh, no, I'm 31.
Oh, you're 31. Okay.
So boom.
Okay.
So 30 and over club car owners here, and we're all still absorbing information from one another, and still making progress and strides. So what you said about, fail well, that's like some glamorous advice, because in this social media age, like H said, I'm closer to to the younger side, to the Gen Zers. But everything is, once you're 30, you're washed. It's over. Like if you haven't gotten this
That's the
degree,
mentality, yeah.
started this business,
Or if you're not an
meanwhile,
influencer.
yeah, but meanwhile they're idolizing people like SZA and Kendrick and Drake, who are all well past like 33, 34, but that doesn't apply to them. They don't think
Mhm.
about
They don't
life
think like
doesn't
that.
stop when you're 29.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
to hear that is like,
Yeah.
it's still inspirational. It's still very motivating to keep going and trying new things.
I started at 33. I went back to school at like 27. I became a police officer at 33. And, you know, from felony gun charges to winning like 16 awards for community policing, starting a nonprofit. Life starts when you wake up. That's it.
That's the name of the episode. Yeah, because I'm not even 33 yet. So to hear that is like, okay. And I'm not saying I'm doing bad for myself at all. You know what I'm saying? But it's nothing wrong with being content. It's a great thing. It's a blessing to have that mindset, but it's also another thing to see opportunity and want it. You know, not crave it, not, you know, sacrifice your morals and value for it, but to see an opportunity to be better every day. That's also great. So appreciate those words, brother.
Yeah, that carries me through, because there'll be days that I feel like, you know, I saw this thing Steph Curry said. He said that, you know, what is it, imposter syndrome, where you kind of wake up, am I doing enough? He said the guy's multi-millionaire, hundreds of millions of dollars he's worth, right? And he's like, doesn't feel like he's doing enough. And he looks in the mirror and says, I could be doing more. I wake up like that every day. And it's mainly for the people around me that I kind of do the things that I do. And, you know, I tell this group at the top when I reconnected with them after, because I honestly thought that they thought I was full of shit when I was talking all this stuff the first time we met. I do marketing and all this crap. And they thought, you know, but Terry was very persistent and like, yo, are you good? Do you want to, you know, like, what, I know you might need more time. Like, think about what you want to do. And it did take me some time to think. And I've been, you know, this group knows I've been going through health issues and shit. But honestly, Terry kept me motivated to think like, okay, I don't particularly, you know, and I said this before, I'm not from Dayton. I don't particularly care for this area or whatever. But I do have an affinity to be like, hey, is this something, since I am here, I'm settled here, what can I help to bring, you know, something, you know, help bring it back, make it better, do whatever. And I feel like this group is motivating me to do that. My wife, obviously, because she's attached to this, has family here and stuff, and they've been a good motivational thing. And and this is the first, like, Sean talks to me every day. Sometimes I feel like now I have a little more purpose here, and it's not so much like, damn, when am I going to move away from this shit? I hate it here. Not that I said, you know, I said that a lot in the beginning, but now I'm like, I'm settled in. I found some cool people. I think I could like plant my feet and do some business and stuff and establish myself. But I feel like the motivation comes, like you say, Kari, from like just having the right people around you and the right people to talk to. But going back to the topic, right? So Terry, thank you for the very inspirational thing, but that wasn't as technical as I'd like it to be. But I think we can lean on Sean to give us a more technical response. You know, I love. I'll get on my knees tonight and pray for a big old house to fall on top of me and money comes out of it.
That's how the dude came up with the idea for the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
but it does. No, faith is part of it too, because I'm a believer in God, and you gotta have Sean is too.
There has to be intangibles. I'm agnostic to full disclosure. If we turn,
damn, I'm finding out a lot about you, bro. It's crazy.
No, if we turn it to oil, it is what it is. I'm trying to, you know, the day by day, I try to be the best person I am. Whatever happens at the end,
I pray for you every day.
But you know, I think the biggest thing is your runway. I think when you're looking at any opportunity, right? I think a lot of times folks don't understand how fast time goes. People think, you know, they look back in retrospect 20 years, right? The biggest advice I ever give folks who are looking to get in is you can be very risky, right? If you're 20, 30, you know, even 40, right? You buy an investment property, you hold it for 20 years, chances are you're going to have an opportunity to exit. The timing is everything, and you want to have more cycles to time over time so that you can make that exit, because ultimately you can buy something if you're 60 and it's supposed to be for retirement, or if you're 50, it's supposed to be retirement at 65. That year of 65 may not be the best year, right? And then you're struggling because you're looking forward to that to be your nest egg. And when that's a case, when that's a situation, that's where you get tight. So I think, Terry, with you, you know, with you guys operating in cash, that's the best thing to do, because you have that runway. You have an asset where you can decide unilaterally when you can make that exit. When you have debt service, it gets a little tricky, right? When it's like, because I've had some big construction loan situations where we're dealing with a couple $100,000 in construction, and at the end of the day, you lose 2 weeks in construction, that could cost you $30,000 based on delivery, based on missing that May open, getting into July, things start to shift. So I think you have to look at your timing when it comes to anything. You have to also self-teach and not believe what anybody's telling you. I think people have to have a certain basis of technical ability to look at what the property taxes are and how that's going to be a part of your carry cost. And, are there any special assessments for the property? Are there any vacant taxes? Because you can get into a property, I know in DC, it can be blighted, it can be vacant. So you want to get into what the jurisdictional thing of that property is, kind of find out big water bills. Does it have sewer issues? And there's certain things you can find out in a municipality that can help you. So I think people understanding all the pitfalls going in instead of the bottom line return on investment that may be zero. Yeah. Right. So I think people try to rush to success. And I think at the end of the day, you have to, to use an old term, right, walk before you crawl. And don't be as scared to buy in a neighborhood that no one wants to buy in. Secondary, tertiary markets are probably the best thing to buy if you have that 15 to 20 year runway.
So they're all going to get gentrified at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're buying where others are buying, most likely you're competing with the established developers of that neighborhood, and you want to be bringing something new to the market if you have that capital. So those would be, kind of the things that I would look at. But no, we have to talk offline because, I have folks who, if there's some opportunities as far as land, as far as any large scale opportunities there that maybe we could put an assemblage together, maybe there could be something interesting here, because I don't know much about the Ohio market, but I have guys that operate all throughout the Midwest, so I just need a connection in order to let me know what's what out there. So
we are a connection.
Yeah, Terry and Amy know a lot of people. And the other side of your business is that they have a networking with business. That's how I got connected with them. Networking, that they do these business dinners and meetups. There have been a couple of multimillionaires in the room and people who brought their business to Dayton that want to figure out, like myself, trying to figure out where can we connect with certain people and do certain things to help our business strive in the smaller market. And I feel like this is a place that's like Detroit that has become or is becoming, or it could become like a tech hub or a culture hub, because they're doing all the right things. But I think the problem is the new money and the old money don't necessarily see the same vision. And that's I don't want to. Yeah, I think I fall into that new money category across any board, because I don't really care for establishment, as you know. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to play to gain, and that's that happy median. So thank you, all of you, for that contribution to this part of the podcast. That was our first official interview. Or it's not really interview, but guest thing. But now we're gonna go talk to Mitch.
So the ratchetness.
Oh no, I thought we were gonna talk. I mean,
I thought you were gonna talk on the list. On the list. No.
I brought Mitch. I want to. Well, this is part of the list because last week, Timberland,
AI
producer, one of my favorite producers,
VA Zone. Let's talk about it.
He created an AI artist, right? And it's a little Asian girl that's singing. I haven't heard none of the music yet or anything.
Do AI people get nationalities? Are they allowed?
She's Asian. It looks like in the picture. I don't know. Anyway, so
it's all coming from a computer.
Yeah. Okay. So we got Mitch on here. He's a music guy. Mitch, tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into the Q&A. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, just jump in and tell us a little about yourself. We're gonna jump right in there and talk about this stuff, because I want to get your perspective on what's going on.
Absolutely. Well, like Bruce said, my name is Mitch Dunbar, and I'm a hip hop producer. I produce anything within hip hop, film, music, books. Right now, I'm actually working with a lot of different artists here in the city. Working with a couple guys that do podcasting. So I'm just kind of upping my value just with who I know. And so if you gave me the opportunity to say, the podcast want to get me on, I'm like, cool, let's do it.
Cool. And from your perspective, working out here in Dayton and the Ohio area in general, there hasn't been many acts that have really blown up outside of Cleveland and stuff like that. So I know Ohio has Ohio players, back in the day with the soul music and some rock music. Why is it with the more modern day music, the hip hop and stuff? What do you feel is not why isn't this market like moving with the rest of the country with all these outlets that we have now? Is it lack of talent, or is it because of the people trying to jump on trends and not be original? I don't even know. I don't know none of the artists around here. You're my gateway to them, but I don't really understand why nobody's doing anything interesting in the moment.
I think it's three things. I think it's one, because of the internet, everything so easy to do without really needing like a real team, like marketing and promotion or A&R. So a person can, record a song in their bedroom, put it up online, and not knowing that it take more than that, but because they caught up in technology with like, long as I can get some likes, I can get some shares, that's satisfying to them. So that's one. It's just like, you got to go to your roots. Like, hip hop is sampling. Like, P Diddy made a career off of sampling music. So the younger artists here don't understand that sampling is like it's the way to really get you out in front and to be able to produce the music that the population already know. You know what I mean? And so music is just recycled feeling, recycled sounds. You know what I mean? And so that's the second thing. And then the third thing is just, it's just the education. People just don't understand how the music game works. So I think that's the reason why a lot of younger acts are really not making it to the next level as far as musically.
Okay. Yeah. And are there any acts that you would say are doing things that that you think people would pay attention to now in Dayton? Like, is there a scene? Because I don't know. I don't really know. I don't hear nothing.
Yes. Dayton has always been a melting pot of talented, creative, innovative people. I think we probably hold the most patents in America, people coming from Ohio. So it's always been like very creative state. And as far as Dayton itself as a city, musically, has always been a gem. And we are still producing. We are still producing, great talented artists right now. I just think technology has really made everything microwavable. So a lot of artists trying to get like the overnight success story. They just so caught up in the fame of it all. They're not really understanding, the legwork that it really takes to get to that level of stardom, because of the internet.
Yeah, one of the things that I found fascinating, and to your point, and you're old school like me. I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming we're close to the same age. It's different now, man. Nobody, like, honestly, and I think I gave you my 2 cents on this when I met you. Nobody actually gives a fuck about if you're talented anymore. Like, it doesn't matter if you have shitty music, but if you have 100,000 followers on Instagram, if you can bounce your ass, if you're a girl, if you know how to, if you could talk about how many people you killed and snitch on your friends and do all this shit, start rap beat, like anything that causes a stir, right? And it's not really based off of the pure talent that you have anymore. And mind you, some of these, like Young Thug and Lil Baby, all these guys, like these street guys, a lot of them are very talented. Lil Durk,
Absolutely.
Like these guys are very talented brothers. And the problem here is that what got them there wasn't necessarily their talent. Yeah, they could rap and do all these things, but then, him beefing with this person or him shooting at this person. And everybody knows about, what's homie's name? Dirk's guy that died. King Von. Like King Von, he was talented all around. He was a killer. He could kill everybody and he could rap at the same time. But that's what got him, right? All that shit. So it's like, there's no, nowadays, man, like I feel like the talent is secondary. Going back to what we were just, what you were saying, and the hardest part that I really think detracts from the talent is the way that music labels, like kind of, I work with them, so I gotta be very, very careful with my words here. I'm gonna say the word manipulate talent, meaning they'll take something that's established, form it into something else, and then when it gets big enough, then they just abuse it and do whatever, and they make money off of it. It's a business model. It's been going on for years. Now they do it differently because now it's streaming platforms, right? Your song's not going to be number 1 on Spotify unless we say it is. I mean, they did it with Kendrick Lamar last year. They made him number 1, and then he took out Drake, right? So it's like they do it to the biggest artists in the world, and they can manipulate the smallest artists to make them big, or small, or whatever, or not make them move at all. Yeah. So I feel like where it's moving now, and this is where the AI conversation comes in. And I know what you said, microwave, but that makes it easier for people. I wish Mike was here because he's messing with doing some AI music content. And another partner of mine, Shomi Batwari, Elusive Media, I told you about them. They did all the big music videos that like Beyonce and stuff. And they're one of our partners. The guy I work with, he's very forward thinking about this shit and is told, we've talked about how we could leverage AI for making, like for producing and creating the sounds and the motion behind an artist. Because realistically, if a song pops off, it could pop off on SoundCloud. It could do whatever. Now, there's not much of a loss you would take by marketing a whole person. If you could take the persona and good rhythms and beats and all that type of stuff and make it blow up from there on social media, you really don't need people. And that's what I think Timberland's doing with this AI stuff. Because as we all know, and Mitch, you work with artists on a daily basis, and Trez, you work with artists too, right? Like Mike and them with the studio. Like, artists are very, very interesting individuals, right? And they're hard to work with at times. They're not business minded in some senses of the word, or the egos and all this other crap. Why couldn't you, like Mitch, you go on your computer and just plug in some prompts to say, make me an obedient artist that can rap, sing, look good, and do everything, and let me just produce for it. And then you have your artist right there. So it takes the human element out of it, but it also takes the drama out of it. And at the same time, yeah.
If I'm going to speak, I do think taking the human. No, I just want to get into this topic real quick. But I do think taking the human element out of the artist is going to make it hard to sell an AI artist, because most people are invested in the artist now. They're not even invested in the music. So
good. Yeah,
it's like,
a good point.
I do see AI. I think what's gonna end up happening is the artists that are selling their catalogs and stuff like that, those are gonna be the artists they use in the AI form. Like, so you have somebody like Future, for example. I think he sold his catalog like pre 2015, like a couple years ago. So I can see something to where they create. Right now, they're testing it with the AI artists, but they actually start to use those artists for AI, if that makes sense. Like 2088, if you want to hear Future, boom, the 2016 version of Future could pop up right there. And we bought his catalog, you know what I'm saying? So any song you want to hear, we can remix any song throughout it, remix the beats, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I really think AI will go with the overall artist.
Yeah, but I feel that's the same thing. Like, you've heard a song, you didn't know if it was a robot or not. If it's good, it's good, right?
But see, like what? Go ahead, Trey. I'm sorry, bro.
Nah, but I'm saying, like, yeah, you throw me some random AI artist, like, it's cool, but it's different if I see Tupac's hologram and Tupac is recording in front of me now. So it's like, oh shit, like, I actually grew up on Tupac, my dad. So it's like, it's actually investment in that specific artist, even if it's AI. Whereas you're just trying to create a whole new artist. It's like, he's not real, but the songs are cool. It's like, yeah, I can vibe with it. I might save one or two on my playlist, but it's not like King Von. Like, people were invested in King Von just being a murderer, allegedly. Like, nigga might have killed 6 or 7 people. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? That became more of the story of his career, as opposed to his actual music.
Yeah, the point, it's like the human element is what's missing. Like, for example, you think about the film industry, right? The concept of digitally de-aging an actor or using technology to bring somebody that's deceased back onto the big screen. A lot of the feedback, the negative side is that's not that person. But a lot of the positive feedback, to Trez's point, is I know that actor, though. I remember them from the original one from the 80s and the 90s. The human element, like you said, talent is, worth a drop in the bucket now. But I'm interested in the beef this person's in, his social media following, the clothes that they wear, the brand endorsements they're getting, the commercial they in, the feature that they on. So when you introduce a completely manufactured artist, I don't have that connection with this person. This is a video game character. This is an NPC. This is a PNG. This is a JPEG. But that Tupac response was strong because I know Tupac. I fuck with Tupac, and now Tupac is back. Now, if they made 3Pac and it was all AI generated, I'm less interested because I'm outraged now.
Well, I have an interesting point, and I'm with you guys on the AI stuff. As far as the human element, the guy that never wants to do self checkout. I'm like, I always screw it up.
That's
like,
how you steal legally, bro.
I'm like, I just give me.
Nah,
a
I'm kidding,
person.
Terry. Don't arrest me.
Just give me a person because I need this bagged up. If it's one bag, just bag it up. Let me move on. But the whole thing is, which is interesting because we have certain levels to our AI, right? I almost look at it like intellectual property, right? Like Mickey Mouse, let's say, right? Was generation after generation after generation resonated with a mouse, right? With a fictional character, right? Santa Claus. I mean, the list goes on. And that's maybe a very outward looking type of way of thinking about it. But it's almost similar because as people, we gravitate toward a lot of things that are either inanimate, don't talk back to us, so we are almost shifting towards that mode now. Like we swipe all the time, like we're programmed to swipe left, right, up, down, so we're already getting to the point. I mean, planes, right? There was a time where people would never imagine that a plane would fly itself, which is pretty much now the case, right? And that's a life or death type of situation, and that's been accepted. So I think with music, the interesting thing will be is because I think Gorillaz aren't they a band that's completely AI
animated? Yeah,
that is true.
Good point.
Coco Lemon is like the #1 YouTube thing, which is completely
Coco
AI.
Melon. Oh yeah,
Coco
Jesus.
Melon, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're predetermined, right? To now to gravitate towards that. Now the issue is going to be is how far do we take it? Because me personally, I'm not going to necessarily listen to an AI artist, but my son might, who's going to be 12 in July.
Yeah, because they don't. Again,
But Sean, will you listen to like the AI Biggie or the AI Tupac? Like,
so no,
like that
would. So
I know they're dead. I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't.
Me, because with the nostalgia for because it would be hard for me to get.
He would be at the AI Jordan game. Watch.
I'm not against that.
He thinks that Space Jam is real.
We're not,
that's how.
But did you ever buy any of the posthumous Tupac albums?
Yes.
Posthumous albums before AI became a regular thing, not to get too off topic, have always been weird to me though. Like I respect it to an extent because if it's pre-recorded and they might change the beat or whatever.
Pre-recorded. Oh yes.
Yeah, but I think posthumous would be different if like how AI technology can sample someone's voice and generate different speech patterns and algorithms to basically seem like they're still talking today. That would be a little different. Like if it wasn't pre-recorded or planned and scrapped from a project, that would be a little different for me.
I see what you mean, for sure.
No, it's just level, over time. Because I remember when I first got into the real estate industry and I was working for this small firm, and the lady was very old school, and she was so mad about spell check. She said, "Oh, all these kids now use spell check." This is back in 99, 2000, right? So just imagine spell check, right? Like it's a different type of mode. I think there's certain things that won't exist that existed when I was a kid. Calendars are basically done.
Analog clocks.
Clocks.
They don't even have them in schools anymore.
Novelty and shit. Yeah.
My son hasn't watched TV in years. He hasn't watched a television in years. He just watches his phone, and I would have never imagined you can enjoy a visual.
That's what happened to me this weekend. My Wi-Fi went out for like a day, and then everyone in the house is like, "Brother, we have Verizon Fios, watch cable." And I'm looking at this remote like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah,
like,
people just watch shit on their phone.
Yeah.
Like the NBA games that come on, I vaguely know them because mass broadcasting companies air them. But like when it's a specialty game or something, I gotta go on League Pass or something. I'm lost. I'm just going to jump on my phone.
Watch parties still.
I don't know.
If MJ was playing.
Oh well, going back to what Trez said about the person, I think take an artist like Sabrina Carpenter. We've all heard songs from her and stuff like that. I'm not gonna go run to a Sabrina Carpenter concert, but if it comes up on the radio and it's a nice little bop, I'll listen to it.
I hope you wouldn't, because you'd be the oldest person there.
Well, pop music is so. Pop music transcends, like what are like that Korean pop music. I love that shit. When I hear it, it makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of it's just fun music, right? Like pop music is fun music. Yeah, like whatever. So so
cancel.
And even like when going back to our generation, like B2K and different types of pop music that was just there, like that helped us, that was just on the radio all the time. Now, I never went to those concerts. The way we consume music now is totally different. It's all streaming. So if I hear that shit, and this is the whole reason why, like, the way music's marketed now, you're putting that shit all over TikTok, you're putting it on Instagram, you're putting it on YouTube. It doesn't matter if the person's real or not. If enough people are listening to it and doing something to it, then it becomes popular. Like,
I'm not
Trez, I
gonna
know,
lie.
see,
Most of the
Trez, you're
artists
an
that come
artist,
out
you're thinking
now,
like us,
I don't know if
but-
they real or not.
But the biggest thing, and it's not, and Mitch, I hope you're still there. This is one of the biggest critiques I could give of like living artists that actually produce their own music and shit. You all have to try too hard, and you have to do all this extra shit to become bigger than life, because now you have to be a social a social media
Social.
personality.
That might be the next
Personality.
AI rapper.
You have to do everything besides.
Oh, there will be an
focus-
AI Rico. There will
No,
be an AI
but bro,
Rico.
you have to do everything besides focus on your
coming.
art to be famous now. And that's why music, the quality of at least hip hop music, has gone down so much, because the image means more to the artist now than the quality of the music. So
Well,
you
we're
can-
microdosed. We're microdosed now from our consumption, from
Yeah.
us liking something to consuming something, right? Has compressed down to nothing,
Because
right? So
they put
we
up
can,
music
we
so
can
fast.
consume everything. We can consume everything. I don't even know when movies come out anymore. I remember back in the day, I would see a preview on the TV, and I would look forward. Oh, this is coming out such and such date. Now, by the time I see it, it's on some platform.
Yo, I just saw we watched Sinners in our house. Like Sinners
Yeah,
has been out for like
that's
a
us.
month, and we just
Yeah,
saw
I was.
it.
theaters.
I was telling my
Yeah.
I got it
dad
on
like
Prime the
Sinners
other
was
day.
such a good movie,
Yeah, it was.
and he was
It's like
like,
up on Prime.
"Yeah, I saw
Have
it
you
in
seen
theaters.
Sinners, Amy?
I seen it in theaters." And my dad was like, "Yeah, I just streamed it." I was like, "Damn,
Yeah,
I
see,
just
that's
saw it
You
in
asked
theaters."
me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
have you seen Sinners?
I saw it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good.
I
10
haven't
out of
seen it.
10.
I'm like,
Very
oh,
good movie. We
Hey,
just
brother.
watched it this weekend.
Yeah, go check
It's
it out,
good.
bro.
Listen, I'm not into vampires. I was like,
Oh, there
It
he's
was
back.
it was a
Ter-
twist because I didn't know the plot. I've heard passing by like, "Oh yes, it's a horror movie," and you pick up on real quick that it's vampires. But for like you, I don't like vampire or zombie films. I think they're trite,
Oh, I love
cliche.
zombie.
No, they're cool.
28
I-
days. I'm
Zombie
waiting for
movie
that one.
is pretty
28
Oh yeah,
days.
the
I am
28 years
Oh,
later.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, I Am Legend. I give that a deception, but it had Big Willie style in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You better tell me if you're real, friend. Like you
I
can't.
love
beat that.
horror
Big
movies.
Willie
Shout out to
style.
Terrifier. Can't wait for the fourth one.
Yo,
Oh, yeah.
Terrifier had too
You
much
put me
for
on
me,
the
bro.
Terrifier.
Average.
Sean put me on the
cool enough.
Terrifier. I got the box set.
When
fan.
Shorty pooped on the bench, I was like, "All right, man, come on now." I mean, popcorn and everything, bruh. Come on now.
That almost
But-
broke up my marriage, man. That
I-
movie was too crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. If you saw Terrifier with a person that wasn't adjacent to horror films, they look at you like you sick fuck. Like you need something.
It looked
like,
too fake to me. It didn't really appeal.
but yeah, Sinners broke the mold because, like I said, I don't care for those type of films, but I saw it twice.
That was good. Michael B. Jordan's a great actor. I
Yeah,
have a lot of
no,
credit
he's
for- that was
solid.
good
Shout
shit.
out Ryan Coogler too.
Yeah,
'cause
Coogler
Yeah.
was a great director.
Yeah.
That's an example of what we talked about earlier. Before Sinners, before Creed and all that, he was $200,000 in debt. Didn't
Yeah.
know what he was doing.
Yeah.
And now Sinners is the 6th highest grossing horror film of all time.
and
Yeah.
still going. Yeah,
Still
it's
going.
gonna-
So
yeah,
shout out him.
It's
Man.
going to do $1 billion. I feel
Yeah.
with the rentals and stuff. And Mitch,
Oh
you
man,
still there?
summer's tough, bro. Summer's tough. You got the Lilo and Stitch movie. You got Fantastic
yeah.
Four. You got Superman. 28 years later, it's gonna be. Oh man, this is a box office battle this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Mitch, are you there? Like he just dropped.
Mitch was at the
dropped off.
hangout, man.
Mitch
he
was
started
at the
dapping
carryout.
people up.
Mitch is at the carryout.
That's what I'm saying. I was gonna ask him. I'm like, man, what you about to
He's
eat?
ordering
Bro, he
some food.
felt
I seen him.
he
He was
dropped
like-
off of the stream. Anyway, we're gonna.